This week we are going to be working with CSS. So you guys are going to learn how to make your pages look 100 times better. So uh, this is a instructional unit that most students love. It's fun, and you get to apply color and different formats to your web pages. But before we get into our instructional block, I did want to point out that we do have a CIT Industry Night Out coming up. It is at the end of September, September 29th at Sarah Lee. So this is an in-person event, not a virtual event. It runs from 5:30 to 7:30, and they typically feed us, and I believe they're going to feed us pies. So for those of you that enjoy sweets, you might want to make an effort to attend. They're also going to give us beverages, and then we typically get a tour of the facility with a focus on IT. So normally we get to see kind of the infrastructure side of what they're doing. And I would assume a lot of their uh, machines and whatnot are computerized. So I would expect to see some of that as well. And we also talk to developers who work for the company. So usually their IT department has both infrastructure and developers that are present at these events. So it's a great way for you guys to see what it's like working in the real world, plus you get to eat pie. So hopefully you guys can attend. It is worth 10 points extra credit. There will be a Dropbox in our lesson 5 Moodle block. And basically, if you attend, all you need to do is go into the Dropbox, write a little paragraph about what you learned. And it does not need to be more than a paragraph. Tell me what you thought, what you learned, and submit it. I give you 10 points extra credit. So moving on to lesson 4, basic CSS. We are going to be adding our CSS. So you're going to want to go through the web-based readings. And a lot of these are from W3 schools. And so they're fairly short and they're very specific. This one kind of gives you an overview of CSS. And the cool thing about this is that you can click on these style sheets and actually see the magic of CSS. And then no style sheet shows you what it looks like, which should be kind of similar to what your pages look like right now without CSS in them. So this is kind of a cool little interactive sheet giving you an overview. And then there's links to the syntax and selectors and every little piece that we are going to be covering. And then we get into IDs and classes and what's the difference between the two, because a lot of people who are new to CSS get confused about, well, what is an ID? What is a class? When do I use them? So these are all pretty short and they are interactive, which if you do go through the try it yourself exercises, I think you will have a pretty good understanding of what these different CSS commands do. Then you're going to go into the lecture demo, and this kind of puts everything together for you. So again, we're talking about, what a style rule is. And the focus in these lecture demos is for you to develop the type of understanding that you need to do well on your certification exam and to complete the assignments. So as you go through here, you will see links to the try it yourselves exercises. And again, because I think it's super helpful to practice these commands while you are learning them. So you'll notice I have all sorts of links in here. I have a website for our class that I set up, and this is the CSS that I use to format pretty much all of the pages. So all of the pages that you guys pull up with the lecture demo and the assignments, they are all formatted with this CSS. So you're going to work through this because we kind of start out in general talking about, what CSS is, what a selector is, what are the three different ways to get CSS into your page. And then we get into very specific CSS commands. This unit covers the commands that you will use most often. It's kind of foundational CSS. There is a lot of fancy CSS that we're going to cover later. And the fancy stuff is actually super cool. It gets into animation. There's like photo filters you can apply. There's all sorts of text formats. So we're focusing on basics here because there's no way we can cover everything in one session. So the commands that you guys are going to learn today are the ones that you are going to be using all semester. So that is our focus for today. Once you finish that lecture demo, you are going to go into the textbook assignment. And I've got some kind of cool pages that you guys are going to be developing. Every task has a video for you to watch. And then you'll notice that at the top here, after you create your folders, you are going to be downloading pages and you're going to be downloading graphics. And then this is kind of just a little visual check to make sure you've got all the graphics in the right spot. And then you are going to start working with the CSS. So that butterfly garden page that looks pretty plain, you guys are going to be styling that. And so this is the directions on how to add the styling to that page. And again, there is a video that you guys can watch and it'll walk you through this. The 1950s trivia page. We are going to be styling that. So here's the old code and the new, and you just kind of work through here. And by the end, it will be styled. Okay. And so again, you are going to be working through here and adding the CSS to various pages. And I've tried to give you some screenshots so you should see, what it should look like when it's done. And you'll be adding the CSS to the pages that you've downloaded, but also a couple that you've worked on in the past. Once you finish this, oh, and I should show you at the bottom, just to make sure that you guys have everything. There's a little summary of what you need to turn in and how many points each thing is worth. So a little grading rubric. Once you get done with that, you are going to go into the lab assignment. And you are going to be creating an internal style sheet for that detail summary page that you worked on last week. So you're going to want to copy that from your lesson 3 folder into your lesson 4. And you're also going to need to copy those graphics into your lesson 4 media folder. There is a video that kind of gives an overview of what you need to do, but you need to select a color theme or scheme for your page, and then you need to apply CSS. And so these are the different things I'm going to be looking for. And this is an example of what I did with my big cat page. And then once you finish with that, you're going to go ahead and update your assignment page with links. And that'll be something that you are actually going to be doing every single week. This week, because the focus is on CSS, you guys are going to be creating a color scheme and using it in your page. And so a lot of people, if they have a background graphic, they like to pull colors from that. So I did do a little video showing you how to pull colors and utilize those in your CSS. Minimum requirements for your CSS are listed here. And the CSS for the assignment page should be in a CIT 180/CSS folder. Okay, so kind of at your top level, you'll have your assignment page. There'll be a media folder there and a CSS folder. And then you'll have all your lesson folders. So here is an example of what a styled assignment page looks like. And if you wanted to actually see the styling that I used, I did include a link. And I put a little comment up here about the colors that I was using in my color scheme. And then once you're done, you're going to transfer everything to the web. And here is the grading rubric. Now, because we do not cover all of CSS, I thought there may be some things you guys are interested in learning now. We are going to be covering CSS 3, but that isn't until probably the middle of the semester. So we do have a discussion forum that is worth points, and it involves CSS research. So what you guys are going to need to do is find a CSS property that you want to learn more about. It can be one of the ones in our reading list, or it could be another one that you saw at W3 schools that we haven't covered. It can be also be part of CSS 3 that we're going to be learning later in the semester. Totally up to you. In your posting, indicate which property you researched and provide a link to the article or video that you used. You should explain what the purpose of the CSS property is and how it can be used in web pages. And then I want you to read the postings from the other students and reply to at least one. And I'm going to pause the video because I am going to do a little sample post. And once I get it posted, I will show it to you. So I added an example, and this is actually a super cool feature that I ran into. And if you're familiar with like Illustrator, you'll probably love this. But it is newer CSS that allows you to create a stroke color for like the outside of text and a different fill color for the inside of the text. And the way that we would have to do this right now is we would use color to adjust the color of the text, and then we'd have to put a shadow around the outside and kind of move the lines off of the text with all of this code. And for this new feature, it's called text stroke and text fill or text fill color. And you can see that you just specify the color, the color name or the hex. And then for the stroke, it's just how wide you want the outline to be and the color. Now, because this is new, you have to prefix it with WebKit. Okay, eventually, once it's fully adopted, you won't have to do that. But I did create a little web page that you guys could copy and paste, and you can actually see how this works. And I created a couple of IDs, old style and new style. So you can see this is our old way of doing it, and then this is the new way. and I've applied both to headings. So you can kind of see how that looks. Anyway, this is the type of thing that I'm looking for. So I've got a link here, kind of explained what it did, and gave you an example of how you'd use it. So if you guys want to reply to this, that's fine. Especially if you're an early bird and there is nothing else to reply to. But make sure that you post something to the discussion and that you reply to at least 2 of your classmates, because all of this is worth points. And that is pretty much it for this week. I think we've just got one more thing. If I can get back, Moodle is being quite slow right now. Slow and sluggish. I'm going to pause here until I get back. Oh, I'm back. All right. So the only thing left is this survey about how the class is going. This does help me because you basically indicate, how the class is going for you, what things are working well, and what things you need more help on. So that is pretty much it for this week. You can see if we can get into the question section. It's very short. You'll see some option buttons where you have to pick how the class is working for you. And then it's just kind of free format. You know, what have you done well? What could have you done better? What parts are you enjoying? What I could do to help make you more successful. Okay, so please fill that out. And as always, if you guys run into problems or if you have questions, please, please, please let me know. You will notice at the top, I did include a little video here explaining common problems and how to fix them. Because believe it or not, there are problems that a lot of people run into with this. So they're very normal, I would say normal problems. And this video shows you what they are and how to fix them. But if you guys get stuck and you cannot figure out how to fix something, make sure you transfer everything to the web and then email me, because I am happy to help you and I can figure out problems pretty quick.